This is the third Tuesday of the month Waupaca City Council meeting.
All right, we have a public hearing first, so we're going to start with that. I call this public hearing to order. It's dealing with the 2017 annual property tax levy and budget. In attendance are Sandy?
Brian Smith.
Here.
Steve Hackett.
Here.
Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Chuck Whitman.
Here.
Jillian Peterson. And Eric Olson.
Here.
9 present. We have a quorum.
Okay, and we'll have our finance director, Kathy, tell us about the purpose of this hearing.
Sure. The purpose tonight is to go over the 2017 budget and tax levy. And I had put out to everyone this weekend what we are doing in the 2017 budget is to restate 2016's budget to continue to qualify for the expenditure restraint program, which we receive about $146,000 worth of revenue from the state of Wisconsin. They changed the way we need to account for our tax levy. So they're allowing us to amend our 2016 budget for the comparison to 2017. And so I've taken into account the amendment that we will be looking at later on in the agenda on Resolution 1378 to change the budget. Also included in the budget is all city operations that are in the general fund now show up as expenditures within the general fund, and I'm showing the public and each of the department and the council how much we are dependent on other funding sources from other funds, which would be the TIF districts, the sewer and water utility funds. There are several personnel changes within this budget. The first one is the Parks and Recreation Program Specialist. Due to the federal overtime exemption law for salaried employees, we did not continue this position as an exempt employee and made it a hourly employee, which would be subject to overtime. The funding for this plus additional responsibilities to give Andrew a lift was funded through the wellness contract services with Theta Care, because Andrew will be now the wellness program coordinator, and a transfer from the Adult Recreation Program Fund 252, which Andrew does a lot of the scheduling and for those adult recreation programs. The IT communication specialist was replaced with an IT communication director and becomes a department head and continues to be an exempt position. This funding adjustment of $7,100 was distributed equally between the general fund, the Waupaca Online, the water and sewer utility funds. The Youth Services Library remains an exempt position. The funding for this adjustment, $2,300, was made within the library fund through reductions of other line items. And the Finance Department is requesting an additional of a part-time, 1,040 hours clerical position, and that is funded through a reduction in outside services, which would allow me, this position will allow me to take over some of the auditor work and transfers from water, sewer, and online utility funds. We've been mandated by Wisconsin Retirement with increases in our contribution rates. Protective is a 1.4% increase, and general employees increases by 0.02%. This accounts for about $18,000 worth of increased cost to the general fund. 1.5% wage increases are included in the 2017 presentation for all employees. Funding this for adjustment would be provided from a one-time transfer from reserve funds. And it's staff's recommendation that this would not be a permanent lift of salary, unless it was determined next in 2018 that we had levy capacity to keep this as a permanent lift. The city's contribution to the general employees health insurance plan was changed from an 83%, 17% premium share to match the police union contribution of 90-10. And this was funded by a reduction in the health reimbursement account amount that the city pays to buy down the deductibles in our high deductible plan. Prior years, this amount was funded at only 75% of our exposure, and it's now being reduced to 50%, as well as our exposure being to match that reduction. This was possible due to the underutilization of this benefit, and it will counter the general employee premium share of the 3% increase in our health insurance premiums. Due to the refinancing of the recreation center lease revenue bond and the timing of the state trust fund loan being taken out, there would not have been a debt service payment for this loan in 2017. It is staff's recommendation to maintain our levy and to use the reduction in paying other loans off, that we would make a payment in 2018 and retire this debt in 2017, and pay a debt, the 2019 payment in 2018, and would retire this debt a year earlier. An additional $75,000 of tax levy for debt service would keep the city's tax levy amount to the same as in the 2015. So even though our rates are going down because of the increase in the assessed value, I'm recommending that we pay an additional $75,000 towards our 2012 state trust fund loan to continue retiring higher interest outstanding general obligation debt early. Capital projects are funded through a one-year trust fund loan. That was for the squad car for the police department, and the feasibility study on the public works garage, and funding about $10,000 worth of computer equipment on an annual basis with a one-year trust fund loan. The other projects, 5-year project is capital improvement projects will be funded either through other resources or a 5-year state trust fund loan for equipment and road projects is presented in the 2017-21 capital improvement plan. This will continue the debt service to be lower than prior years while allowing the city to maintain the infrastructure and equipment. This year's budget document also includes budgets for all of the city's 8 taxing incremental financing districts as part of the Wisconsin Department of Revenue changing the reporting requirements to provide more information to our other taxing jurisdictions on the status of the tax increment districts. I've developed budgets for these districts this year, and I've included them into the budget document. One of the things that I have done is that the 2001-2004 refinance CDA lease revenue bonds will allow the TIF districts not to pay any debt service on that refinancing bonds until 2018, and to help them in meeting their debt service requirements. And I'm drawing a blank. We'll have additional interest next year. However, I think that because the tax increment was about $90,000 lower this year, this would help and alleviate any additional levy requirements for the city to provide tax support for debt service requirements to the TIDs. The water utility will require the Public Service Commission to review its rate structure, to receive construction authorization for the replacement of the $1,500 meters and implementation of the cellular point transmission devices for reading. However, at this time, I don't believe that it will be necessary to have a rate increase for just maintaining the water utilities budget the way it is set up. It would probably only be to cover the cost of the purchase and installation of the meters and transmission devices. The water utility remains in a very strong financial position, and we'll see what the PSC requires us for a rate. The sewer utility will not require a rate increase for 2017, and as part of the Chain of Lakes Sanitary District, I have budgeted setting aside the reserve funds that is in the agreement in the 2017 budget. It was not done in prior budgets. Waupaca Online budget shows a good improved financial position with the settlement of the AT&T contract, and is in now a healthy fund balance status. At this time, I'm going to end up with the fact that I don't have all of the information yet from the state. It's still early for them to get us the school levy credit, first dollar credit, and lottery credit. So I can't give what the net levy rate is or what the final impact is on the property tax bill. But right now, our gross levy over all the taxing jurisdictions, if the city determines to leave the 2016 levy at the same amount, which is $3,471,538, we would see lower gross tax levy rates at $1.30 lower, which would, on a $100,000 house, would probably amount to $128 for that $100,000 house, lower than last year. So we're in a good position with the other taxing jurisdictions lowering their levies, and the increase in the assessed value of the city of over $3,041,000, and a lower TIF increment, that it's recommended that we keep the levy the same and be more conservative. One of the other things that I want to point out too is the general fund budget does qualify this year for expenditure restraint in 2018 by being no higher than 1.9% over 16, and we are at 1.89, and that is to play play the game with Madison. We are going to put $319,000 in contingency in the general fund. Not that it would be spent, because it's going to require council to make that adjustment, but that's the way the general fund is set up, so that we'll qualify in 2018 for that program. So that's the 2017 budget.
Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that. So when we were talking about this, and this is, again, just to repeat what you said, there's like a $1.28 reduction on every $1,000 of property value is what you're estimating.
I'm estimating between $1.28 and $1.30, yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right, at this time then, we will take testimony in favor of the budget as it was presented. We will be acting on this at a later time, but later tonight, but we want to hear from the public to see if they have any testimony that they would like to give in favor of this. If they do, please give your name and address, step up to the podium, give your name and address, and limit your time to 3 minutes or less. Any testimony in favor of the budget? Do we have any testimony in opposition? Any testimony in opposition to the budget? You did such a great job, Kathy. We all understood it. Okay. Hearing none, I declare this public hearing closed at 6:16 p.m. Thanks. We'll go right into the council meeting. I'll call this regular city council meeting to order. And as always, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll ask Sandy to read the open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all other meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Okay, and would you take roll also, Sandy?
Brian Smith,
Here.
Steve Hackett.
Here.
Lori Chestnut. Here. Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Chuck Whitman.
Here.
Jillian Peterson. Here. And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
Okay, we have the consent agenda. These are items that you will act on with one motion. If there are any items that are in the consent agenda that council would like to see moved to the regular agenda and acted on separately, this is the time to tell us. If not, we will need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve?
Motion by Chestnut.
Second.
Second by Keelan that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Regular agenda, we have Sandy.
Under number 10, unfinished business, letters B and C, resolution number 1378 and resolution number 1379, along with supporting documentation, were emailed. That's it.
Okay, thanks. All right, under regular agenda, I'm going to ask for a couple of changes here, if you don't mind. One, I want to do the department announcements reports. I want to do that after the closed session. And what I would like to do is move the 10B, which is the budget resolution. I'd like to move that up to the front of the meeting, and then we'll go from there into closed session. Anybody have any issues with that? You're okay with that?
Brian, why wouldn't we move 10C also up?
Because I didn't look at it, I guess. And 10C, okay.
Thank you.
Yep. 10B and C. Thanks, Steve.
I so move that we move B and C up and B and C.
And you're okay with moving the department
Yes.
announcements back too? Okay.
Second.
Motion by Hackett, second by Keelan, that we adjust the council agenda. Any discussion? All in, roll call? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, let's go to, well, we can do these real quick. Public input. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to give some public input on a non-agenda item? If you would, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, keep your discussion to 3 minutes or less. Any public input? All right, moving on, then we have department announcements and reports. We're going to put those right after closed session. So let's go to 10B. All right, so we will not do 10A at this time, but 10B, this is resolution number 1378. It's the amending the 2016 budget more or less for state purposes so that we are comparing apples to apples between 2016 and 2017. There were no dollar amount changes, just change to different line items, if I'm right, Kath?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on the 2016 resolution, which is 1378? All right, we need a motion to approve then. Motion by Mayo, second by Jillian Peterson, that we approve of resolution number 1378. This is amending the 2016 budget resolution. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, we're on to resolution number 1379. This is our 2017 budget resolution, as Kathy had presented to us in the public hearing earlier. I don't know, Kathy, is there anything you'd like to add before we?
No, I have worked very hard with my staff and the other departments to provide this budget, and I'd like to thank everybody for their cooperation this year and changing a lot of the formats and adding more information out there to make the budget a very transparent and educational document for the public to know how we're spending their tax money.
This should really, in the future, you'll know this, but we had an agreement with the police union, and they rejected that. So that could affect the budget in the future. But again, it shouldn't really affect the 2017 budget necessarily, but it could affect how we go from 17 to 18 with that. But we're back into negotiations with them, so we have nothing to report, which will also probably make a difference on all the other employees' wages too. So it could be less, it won't be more, but it could be less is what they're actually going to receive depending on what we negotiate here. Okay? Anybody else have anything, questions on the budget? I know it's a big packet. You feel comfortable with voting on that tonight? If so,
I'll move to approve resolution number 1379.
Second.
motion by Keelan, second by Hackett, that we approve of resolutions number 1379, which is the 2017 budget. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, roll call. Sandy will call the roll.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Lauren Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Jillian Peterson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Chuck Whitman,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
and Alan Keelan.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thanks. Before we move on, I do want to thank Kathy, of course, for her hard work on this. This budget process has been the easiest, actually, that it's been in a long time for us. And of course, that's with her staff help and all of the department heads, too. It made it a lot easier for us. And for public, so you understand, we've had a number of meetings starting back in July, and we've gotten to this point. So it's not like we just carte blanche this without any discussion on this. We feel comfortable. We felt comfortable at the last meeting, but we wanted to have the public hearing first before we actually voted on this. So That's where we're at. Okay, anything else before I adjourn us into closed session here, or convene us into closed session? Okay, we need a motion to convene into closed session in accordance with Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, Parent 1, Parent E, Parent G, to discuss the following, which would be the WEDC Community Development Investment Grant Agreement, development agreement for TIF number 4, and then also an update on some of the current legal actions that we have.
I'd make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Chestnut, that we convene into closed session. Discussion. Sandy will call the roll.
Jillian Peterson.
Aye.
Chuck Whitman.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Eric Olson. Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Alan Keeland.
Aye.
And Steve Hackett.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
For those of you that are not within the closed session, I can tell you, I'm going to predict about 1 hour, but as soon as we're done with the closed session, we will reconvene into open session. So if it ends up to be 10 minutes, we'll reconvene, but I'm just estimating 1 hour is what I think it will take to get through this whole part of that. Okay, so staff, if you're not part of that, if you want to step out, you can too. You certainly are available to stay, but everyone else, okay, we have a number of items that we're gonna take that occurred in closed session. First of all, we're gonna go kind of in reverse order here. We're gonna do C. This is, or C was just no action was taken in closed session. So we'll go to B, which was the development agreement for TIF number 4. You want to just, do we need any updating on that, council? Or we need to approve that development agreement for TIF number 4? Anybody need any additional information on that?
It's with Wolf River Auto.
That was the first one we talked about in closed session. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add on that, Brennan?
No, I mean, just for the public, this is a developer's agreement between Little Wolf Automotive and the city of Waupaca for an amount not to exceed $40,000 for development incentive.
Okay, so that would be what the motion would say.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Hackett, second by Keelan, that we enter into the development agreement with Wolf River,
Little Wolf Automotive.
Little Wolf Automotive. Isn't that what I said? For TIF number 4 agreement, and the amount would be $40,000, and basically that's incentivized through property taxes. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Alan Keeland.
Aye.
Jillian Peterson. Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Chuck Whitman.
Aye.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
And Dave Peterson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Council took the majority of the time to discuss the Doc Addie's development that is going to occur on Main Street, and we wanted to have time to discuss that. At this time, Council, I think we have made a decision to, or not, or I'm looking for a motion on what you want to do in proceeding with this. Well, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion, we proceed with the development agreement for the Doc Addie's project to include that letter of credit that was mentioned.
Okay. We have a motion by Perchatsky. Motion by Perchatsky. Second by Dave Peterson, that we enter into, or have staff work to enter into an agreement for a development agreement with Doc Addie's, which will include a letter of credit that's guaranteed by the bank. Any discussion? Okay, Sandy will call the roll.
Lori Chestnut,
Can I think just a moment yet?
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson, Chuck Whitman,
No.
Paul Mayo, Jillian Peterson, Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
No.
Alan Keeland,
Abstain.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
and Lori Chestnut.
No.
We have 6 ayes, 3 noes, and 1 abstain.
All right, so the motion is approved.
Carried.
Or carried. Jan and Robert, what that means then is you should be, Brennan will be in contact with you and we'll get a development agreement put together and we'll get that moving. Good luck to you guys. All right, thank you. Awesome. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate you coming up. Alex and Jason coming up from Madison. Appreciate that.
Safe travels.
I know from experience, if you get applauded, that means you're gonna lose. Just saying. All right, let's move back. Let's see if we can just get them to move, because they're gonna start talking out there.
I'll get it.
Can't close the door, that's right. Can't close the door.
Are we back on? I didn't even know. I'm assuming we were, because we, okay. We are zigzagging all over the agenda here, so I think we're back at department announcements and reports, is that right? Okay, so let's start with Kathy, our finance director.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. My report starts on page 6. My staff has been busy with elections. They did help and assist the clerk's office during the general election on November 8th and the 4 weeks prior to that, and helping assist voters with registration and absentee voting. And I appreciate my staff for stepping up, which allowed me to work on the 2017 budget document, which will be put on the website. Additional statistical information will also be included in the budget document this year. We have made an agreement to schedule the external auditors for preliminary work January 12th, and final field work, it will be the week of March 7th. And we are planning on presenting the 2016 financials at the council May meeting. And that's all I have.
Okay, any questions? Kathy? Thank you. Peg, library.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. Council members, I hope that you've had an opportunity to see the reading sculpture that we have on the front lawn now. Really wanted to thank the Public Works Department for helping make that happen with the large boulder that was brought in, and thank the Jorgensens for their donation. It's really a lovely piece that's being added to our landscape. We are celebrating International Game Day on Saturday, so you're all invited to come to the library and play games. And it'll be for all ages, so no matter what age you are, you'll enjoy playing a game at the library from 10 till 2. We are interviewing for a new exhibit room coordinator. Our current coordinator has decided to leave and to devote all of her time to the Waupaca Historical Society, so she still works for us and for her family. So we do have some fine candidates. We'll be interviewing early in December for that position. Our Jan Brett exhibit is on now, and Jan Brett is visiting on the 4th of December. The library will be open for 2 hours from 2 to 4, and then her visit starts at 5 o'clock at the Waupaca Middle School. We didn't have a venue large enough within the city to house that program. So she'll sign autographs for a couple of hours after her talk. We did take the opportunity during the elections to create some flyers that informed taxpayers about what their contribution is towards the library and what the library can do for them. And then we also had some stories of library champions, people who really feel strongly about the importance of the library to our community. I hope you had a chance to look at those in our at our election poll place. And then we also had the surrounding towns. And that's about it for us. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Vic.
Can I just add to that? The exhibit was just fantastic, and everybody should really take some time to go and see it. It was.
All right, let's move on. Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. My report's on page 46. Just going to report on, we're moving forward with the downtown plan and the master plan. That's progressing along well. We had our consultants back here at the end of October, meeting with the steering committee, and we're moving along well in the actual plan and getting a theme and everything else moving forward. I've been working with Henry a little bit on kind of some of the continuation with the Arts Summit that happened earlier this year. Met with the arts group last week about some of the projects, and we are actually bringing our consultants back in here at the end of November for 2 meetings. One of them to meet dedicated to meeting with the local artists and the art shops here in the community and get their ideas and on how they could be a part of the long-term vision for this. And then we are doing kind of like a downtown business forum, downtown business meeting on November 30th at 7:30 a.m. over at Farmer State Bank. There's still a lot of concerns out there within the business owners, and we're trying to minimize, I guess, any of the concerns that are out there. So as part of the overall project, we're bringing a couple of our consultants back to kind of do a one-on-one dedicated meeting with them and hopefully answer any of the questions that they may have. And we're looking to do an open house hopefully here in January. The big issue that's holding anything up right now is our work with the DOT and our design exceptions. We're about to make that submission for maintaining a majority to most of the front end angle parking. We will have some discussion later on about the back end angle, but we're working through 5 different sets of plans right now and making our application to DOT here shortly. And then, unfortunately, some sadness into my department. As I wrote in my report, Lindsay Kemnitz has actually accepted a full-time position with another community, and will no longer be an employee at the end of November here with the city. So we definitely wish her best of luck in her new endeavors, and I'll be bringing forward, working with Henry and the mayor on what to do with that vacant position and bringing something forward either late December or early January, how to fill that position for next year. Thank you.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
On page 47, Brennan, you talked about the plan commission addressing noxious weeds and so on, but it was under the category of Bethany Homes, and I hope that wasn't meant to be linked.
Nope, I forgot to actually fill that in. Thank you. Good news is Bethany Homes is moving along well with their project. They're just about to be fully enclosed on the 3-story building. Their 1 story is completely enclosed and starting to move individuals into that area. And then the 3-story building is basically fully enclosed, and they'll be working through the winter on the inside of that building. So,
Thank you.
I have a question, Brennan, regarding the, DOT and the parking situation. What are the consequences if they, refresh our memory, are we going to lose some funding if they don't like our angle parking? Concepts?
that's a loaded question. No, I'll try to make it as brief as possible. The state and feds typically like angle parking. We're trying to
Hold on. We're gonna discuss this at length in about
Okay.
20 minutes, so let's do it then.
We'll handle it there.
All right.
That was just your.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Sorry, I just don't want to duplicate what we're talking about here. All right, Justin, Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. My update can be seen on page 48 and 49. Starting with the wastewater division, still waiting the blower shipment. I've been in contact with the lady from Focus on Energy, so she is aware that we're waiting on shipment. We're getting near the end of the year, where our application deadline was December 15th. So working really closely with her and also the contractor to make sure that this gets in and we still get our Focus money. Our disinfection season is complete, so the chemical feed at the effluent has been turned off. And within the department, we've picked up the cathodic protection project. It started early on this year, so we're looking at doing sealed bids for this. The big holdup with this is we need to remove and recoat a couple lift stations, one of them being the Kiwanis lift station, which has lead paint in it. So it's been, I guess, an additional challenge to try and figure out the proper way to, I guess, address that, dispose of it properly, and have that spelled out in a specification. But I'm looking to bring that back to you shortly. Street side leaf pickup is in full swing. Keep putting your leaves out there. We'll get them. Still cleaning out some sewers and with the Vector and Rotter, and I actually just remembered that we Vectored out the lift stations today, cleaned out the grease, and that could contribute to a little bit of smelliness in the area. So if you hear some complaints, just let them know that we've done a little extra cleaning of the lift stations as well. Snow equipment is ready, so hopefully we keep getting 60-degree weather. And we are looking for a position at the recycling center with Lindsay, I guess, moving on. So if you know of anybody who would like to work Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays for about $11 an hour, please let us know. Water department side, we just completed a round of DNR compliance samples for our third quarter. Our hydrant flushing is complete for the year, and we began compiling the information for the King Water study and submitted that to the town and country engineering. I'd also like to bring up this political ad that was, I guess, circulated a few weeks ago about lead being in our water. It's basically false, just twisting of the truth for political reasons. So if anybody from within your districts here or asks you questions about this, you can direct them towards me. I can answer any of their questions. Our drinking water results are posted on the website, city website, and also on the DNR website, which tells the truth. Oh, I forgot to mention on the street side for the leaf pickup, in the packet I included a card from a very nice lady in town who thanked us for picking up the leaves, stating that not every community does this. So I just thought that was a very nice thing that this lady did, appreciating our nice thing that we did for her. Facility side, we're wrapping up the LED upgrade. Again, we kind of changed gears on that. We thought it was going to be a much more expensive project. Ended up that we can fit it mostly within our maintenance budgets. Russ ordered the trees for the next year's spring planting. I worked with the IT department to get the key fob system going with the new security system, and did a lot of work with the election setup and takedown, working with Sandy as well. That's about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions? Justin? Comments? Thanks, Justin. Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor. My report's on page 22 of your packet. We'll go through this fairly quick. Boat ramp is complete with the pier now being complete at that location. That'll all reopen tomorrow. I think everything turned out well at that site, and the other site is the fishing pier that we're working on, and that's going on right now. It's basically just getting framed, so that should be done by the end of the week. That would complete our known projects for phase 2 at this point. As I've mentioned before, we do have a call in to Chris Helber, who's our grant specialist, for a possible extension on phase 2 and phase 3, so we can work with the Friends of Mirror and Shadow Lake on a phosphorus mitigation project that would be within Lower South Park in that drainage ditch there from the wetland into Shadow Lake. I do want to commend Andrew and Sarah on our Halloween party. They did a fantastic job. Andrew did most of the organizing, and Sarah and her staff worked very hard on the decorating and had the place looking pretty festive for the Halloween party. We had hundreds of people come through. I also want to thank the police department for having a presence there for large events at the rec center or in parks. It's always nice to have them there in case anything happens. So thank you, Brian, and thank Brett for me when you get a chance, please. New Act and some other community organizations also helped out, so I want to thank them as well. Baseball board, we're meeting with them right now, as well as the softball board, talking about summer season already, planning tournaments, looking at possible projects at Swan Park. A number of them have been discussed for this coming year, and they're looking to put more money back into the park, which is great. Senior Center, I also want to commend Sarah on this. This is a big project. If you guys remember, about 5 years ago, Terry had accredited the Senior Center for the first time through the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers, and Sarah just went through that process once again. You have to do it every 5 years, and she did it, and it was a lot of work. The board came a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and looked at the packet and had some suggestions and gave the sign off at that point. So the Waupaca Senior Center is one of 25 in the state out of about 100 that are real organized senior centers. If you count bingo halls and things like that, there's about 200. So there's something to be said for that. Beginner basketball, men's basketball, and adult volleyball are going on right now. And that is about all I have.
Thanks, Aaron. Any
Thanks.
questions, comments? Right. Thanks, Chief Ozell.
Thank you, Mayor. My information starts on page 25 and ends on page 45. There's been a lot of changes that have been going on within our department. John Helgeson, who has been a patrol sergeant for our department for a number of years, was promoted to detective sergeant. That was approved by the police commission. He is going to start on December 5th, and we are in a process right now of filling his past position, the patrol sergeant's position. So we're hoping to have that filled by December 13th of going through the commission for the approval. And we have also started accepting applications for a patrol officer's position. So we got a lot of different things that are going on. But we're looking at probably February 2017 before we can bring that officer on board with accepting the applications, the testing process, the background, the medical, and by the time we can get him on board, that's what we're kind of looking at. Also, back in October, Sergeant Mario Graceffa started 14 years with us. Doesn't seem like he's been here that long, but I guess he has. So I'm very appreciative of the efforts that he does for our patrol and does a real nice job at nighttime. With that being said, we did receive a resignation letter from Officer Josh Krieger. For those of you that remember, Josh was a full-time officer with our department. He had left a number of years ago and accepted a full-time position with the Sheriff's Department. During that time, he stayed on with us and fulfilled part-time duties, which was a real advantage for us of him knowing the city, him knowing the community and the people that are within it, and also being familiar. We use the same software for our reports and everything, so it really worked well. But after a number of years of doing it, he has decided now to just work full-time with the Sheriff's Department. So he'll be sadly missed. Just an update on our tactical vest and helmets. We are waiting for our tactical helmets to come in and to be fitted. So we're hoping within the next probably 2 to 3 weeks that we will get all of our equipment that the community fundraise for, and that we can get that into the squad cars with the officers. So we're really looking forward to that. The other thing is just, I guess, to inform the council is we did order our squad car. That's going to be coming, hopefully, I'm guessing early February. So that's been taken care of and that's been ordered. And then the last thing I just wanted to touch on, I've been approached by some different people in the community in regards to maybe not understanding the grant that our department, the sheriff's department, and Waupaca Police Department are working on. It's a high visibility grant through the state, and some people believe that we are setting up checkpoints in the city of Waupaca, in Waupaca County. That is something that is not being done. That is illegal. What is being done, though, is high visibility enforcement in certain areas in Waupaca County and in the city of Waupaca. And that's just to try to reduce traffic accidents. From those traffic accidents come people that get injured. So that's what the purpose of the grant is. So if anybody does talk to you and they do have any questions, you can send them my way, and I will gladly sit down and I will explain that to them. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks. Any questions for the chief? Henry.
Thanks, Mayor. My report's on page 51, and I just have a couple brief things. I'd like to piggyback onto Kathy's comment about the election. I appreciate the help of her staff. We had a record turnout. About 35% of our voters did vote absentee. We had 4 weeks of absentee voting, and people took advantage of it. These elections don't occur without a lot of help. Sandy is our lead person on the staff with the elections. She does a great job keeping up on all the rules and keeping us squared away. I'd like to call out a couple people, Carol Elvery, Linda Hagan, and Karen Dussel, who are our chief election inspectors, and they're the ones that make things happen at the polls when decisions need to be made and keep things in order. And then, of course, all our poll workers. And I understand, Peg, I missed you when I voted. I did see you in there. And Peg helped us with the election. So it's really great to see everybody do that. There was one situation that's being handled. I believe the police department had to intervene, and but that was taken care of. And then very quickly, at the end of the meeting, I promise it won't take but a few minutes. We want to get everybody registered on that FEMA site for future training. Josh has distributed a quick reference sheet. And then when we get to that point on the agenda, I would like to briefly discuss with you when we will do these trainings, because they're probably an hour and a half. And if you remember, Eric Helverson with the county EM office is willing to help us with a group training if you want to participate in that. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks, Henry. Scott, I maybe didn't, when you were looking at the agenda and the rest of the staff, under sorry about that. I'm trying to find it now. But under 12A, we're going to be talking about back-in angle parking, so I figured that went along with what your question was.
Yeah, I'll ask it then.
Yeah, well, will make more sense when we talk about the back-in parking then. Okay. Also, you have, in your hands, you also have that confidential information too. Make sure that you either destroy that or get that back to staff before you leave today. Don't just throw it in the box like we do all our other stuff. Okay? Everyone? Anybody else have anything else before we move on? Okay, I think we're on number 10, huh? Is that right?
10A.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on number 10, which is unfinished business. This is an update on the ad hoc deer management committee meeting held on the 14th, yesterday. Alan?
Yes, and all 9 voting members were in attendance of it, as well as 3 representatives from DNR and Chief Ozell. We made introductions, provided our backgrounds to each other. We reviewed the DNR information that had been presented previously at the council meeting, and then looked at the issue of car deer collisions, the data provided by Chief, and Henry was kind enough to get the information mapped. That map is still sitting on the table out here, and it is rather instructive if you take a look at it and see where the car-deer collisions have been occurring in the last 5 years. There have been 168 of them within the city limits. We also looked at the health issues, some discussion of the diseases that are caused by the deer tick, and then also talked quite a bit throughout the evening about the damage that the deer herds are causing within the city limits. We adjourned after about an hour-and-a-half meeting and agreed to meet again on December 5th, where we will discuss more in depth, I think, what the options are that are available to us. We're also going to try to invite another city who has faced this problem and taken action, and get feedback from that city, at least one of the cities. Lori or Chuck or Chief, do you have anything to add to that?
It's going to be a long process.
Yeah.
It's a long process. Yeah.
My timeline is to still try to get a report to the city council by February. That's what I hope to accomplish. Thank you.
All right, let's move on then. We already did 10B and C, so we're to 11. This is a license report, 1341. This is just an operator's license. We're looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Whitman, second by Chestnut, that we approve license report number 1341. This is an operator's license. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Under issues and discussions, we have two of them tonight, actually. The update on the back-end angle parking, and before I turn it over to you, Justin, Brennan, you want to just explain fairly quickly on where we are and what we're recommending at this time and waiting to hear from the DOT?
Sure. So I'm going to go back to Scott's previous question briefly. As the city is aware, we were awarded about $1.7 million in funding. Typically, with that funding comes standards that the DOT, state and federal, like to see angle parking in lieu of, or excuse me, parallel parking in lieu of angle parking. We've been working with the vision committee, the steering committee, working with our consultants to craft a memo, basically, of a very detailed memo of why to maintain angle parking in the downtown area. And there's a lot of different criteria that go along with that, and we think we've made a pretty good a case for it. But again, as we've I think briefly mentioned before, it's extremely difficult to maintain angle parking when it comes to STP funding. It has not been done before, so could be a case study moving forward on this. But we feel that with some of the designs that we presented and have prepared, we're working off of 5 plans. But the one moving forward right now is maintaining most of the angle parking, front end angle parking that is present in the downtown right now. What comes with that is some realignment, we have some additional space out there. We're narrowing down some of the travel lanes. There's a buffer zone that we're putting into there. So we're making a case not only for just from a safety standpoint and some of the other pedestrian things that we're putting in there for safety, but also what we're really focusing on, which is the economic side of it. We've heard from the business owners. They have a concern about, the culture and the environment that we have here. We are an aging population. People don't like to walk a lot, for our parking study. So we're trying to maintain as much as we can. I can't say with a surety what we're going to have today or down the road within the next 30, 45 days. So that's the premise of where we are with that. Working with the Public Works Department, we were doing the back and angle parking as a pilot program. There are a couple communities in Wisconsin that have done it, have converted to the back and angle parking. It is more prevalent on the East Coast and West Coast right now. It's starting to finally come to the Midwest. But the reason for the pilot program and working with the Public Works was in the event that the DOT does not accept our design exception, we're utilizing the back and angle as an option. We have met with representatives from the DOT, the Historical Society, and everything else that are a part of that decision, and they're open to that idea of the back and angle parking. That is why we moved forward to try the pilot program a couple months ago. we've had some success and I think some failure on, I think, not only the citizen side, but also staff side, trying to promote that a little bit more. Some days it's good, some days it's bad. But Justin has, I think, a little bit more information from the survey results that we have out there.
Justin,
All right. Unless there's any more questions.
did that answer your
That's
question?
fine.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, so curtailing on what Brennan had said, it's been a while since we implemented this back and angle pilot, approximately 3.5 months. And we had a survey out there, and we've gotten some responses back, not as many as we would hoped. But the basic, I guess the basic response from the survey is that people prefer the back end over parallel, but would prefer front end versus back end. The other thing that they see as the biggest benefit to the back end is the ability to see when leaving. The thing they don't like about back end is having to back up. And they also don't see the safety benefit of the back end parking. As Brendan, I know, has mentioned a number of times, there's several safety benefits to backing into an empty stall versus backing into a live lane of traffic, loading, unloading pedestrians, that sort of thing. And the one part about the surveys that really kind of hit me is that about 2/3 of the responses would not like to see the back end used elsewhere within the city. However, 1/3 of the people who did take the survey have never tried in back end parking. So it's still a work in progress. Wanted to give you an update because we have seen some ups and definitely some downs. I mean, there's days where we go out there and look and everybody's straight in, and it's kind of frustrating. We put these window flyers out there, and then there's other times, even on weekends, where the whole block is full and they're all backed in and perfect. So I think internally, Brian, myself, and Henry we discuss this. It seems like once a month it comes up. We include Mayor Smith about what we can do to improve this. So what we're looking at doing now is just increasing basically the outreach to people. I've talked to Josh of redoing a radio segment and putting that out there again. Thinking about doing like a newspaper ad within our water bills as well. And things we'd like to do on the street would be to put a double yellow down Union. We have some conflicting ideas on that about when and how we should do that. And then also some additional signing. Again, we got to just put our heads together and figure out what's best. But with this additional effort, material and time, we're thinking it's going to be about $1,200 in cost if we were to do the double yellow and extra signs out there. And then below the memo is the survey responses side by side taken from late August. We put the stripes down, I think, August 5th. So it's about after 1 month, and then again, the survey responses from November 10th, which was just recently.
So here's kind of the options that I see. Well, let me just add to this too that there's obviously some confusion on Union Street for some people. I had an elderly person that I just happened to be walking along, and they thought it was a one-way street, and they started to back up on Union Street and get off of it onto Jefferson Street. So I think we need to do something to make sure that people understand that. And in my mind, we have two options. Maybe you can come up with a different one. The one option is to put the double yellow line down the middle of the street and then try and do some more signage within each stall to make sure that people know that it's back-end parking. Or the other option, which will cost money too, is to get rid of the back-end angle parking and just go back to the regular angle parking. So those are really your two options. I don't think you can leave it just the way it is right now, because when people turn from Main Street onto Union Street, they come right across also, and that could be dangerous too, because they'll pull right in front of a car that might be coming right at them, thinking that it's a one-way street also that way. Problem is you think it's a one-way street both ways. So that seems to be the issue. So and I thought it was important enough for the council to weigh in on this decision. I mean, if you're asking me what I think is best, I think we should put down the double yellow lines, and it doesn't hurt us if we decide to go back to the regular angle parking, and then try and put up some more signage in there to help us with it. Okay, so what do you think?
I agree. Double yellow line and more signage. I think the backwards angle parking is long-term going to be the way to go with the city. It's going to be quite a while to get used to it, as we're seeing on Union Street, but I think eventually it will be something that people are comfortable with. But for the sake of the Main Street grant, I think it's very important that we give this a good try.
Anybody else, Scott?
Oh, no, I agree too.
Sorry.
When you talk about the signage, are you gonna put a sign in front of every stall saying back in only, or what was your plan there?
We thought about it.
We gotta work that out.
That would cost a terrible amount of money, but I'm just curious what more
I'm not in
signage.
favor
It's
of
actually not
putting
that much.
a
I've already
sign in every
priced
single stall. But we would like to increase the signage
Jesus,
at
okay.
the minimum. We only have 2 actual street
Yeah.
signs out there,
Right.
and then put out the A-frames with little billboards. So we need to increase it some way, somehow. We just gotta come to agreement on it. Or I can just make a decision and get it done.
We are, the other side of the coin here too is that, and Brian, you can weigh in, Chief, you can weigh in on this too, but without the double yellow line, and we don't want to do this anyways, because it is just a test. We don't want to make people mad, but people are parking incorrectly when they pull in straight. So, you know, there could be an issue where why aren't we ticketing them? But without the double yellow line down the middle, it seems really unfair. If the double yellow line's down the middle, you know, then these people are crossing a double yellow line to get into the stall, and that would make more sense. Again, I hope we don't get to the point where we have to ticket people, because that's not what we're trying to do here at all. So, okay. Anybody else? Otherwise, if we do this, we're gonna ask, and he's not gonna be very happy, but we're gonna ask Roger to put down the double yellow lines and yet this month and get some more signs up. So
Is there a double yellow line on Main Street now? I don't
there
know.
is.
I still see people, even though they're going front end, they'll go right across and back, and that's not legal either, but.
No, and they should be ticketed for that too, but they're not. Yeah.
They don't know what a double yellow line means. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like I said, I don't know what else to tell you.
Right.
I mean, what's the next option?
More news in the water bill.
Council members, you have to take turns on a daily basis.
Walking up
Walking
and down.
up
Yeah.
and down.
That's what I thought. What do they call them, sandwich boards or something?
Yeah, you got. Yeah, okay. No, we're not going there. All right, sounds good.
Who woke Scott up today?
I don't know. I don't know.
See the guy in front of me? Fitness today, running up and down. He had his suit on.
Okay,
Brought me to the.
are we okay with that, council? All right, so that's what, you heard it, Justin. Everyone in here said. So if Roger gets mad, it's your
We'll have to
fault.
look at the material data safety sheets to make sure that we can apply it at this temperature. I'm just joking, Mayor. We'll get it done.
60 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah, you got 60 degrees for a couple days. Get after it.
Oh, there's a different mixture.
It's a water-based.
Okay, let's move on then. We have, this is when we're gonna do this FEMA thing? Henry?
Yeah,
Okay.
from cars to EM.
What if we're signed up already?
Well, let me ask that question. How many people have signed up individually? Okay. Well.
No.
You can help me.
I have talked with a number of
Like,
council
close the thing down,
members individually, and there seems to be interest in doing the group training. And we've got the county that's willing to help us. I think you can get a lot more out of it if you do it at group training, but there's a commitment. There's, I think, 2 courses that you as policymakers have to have, and as well as some department heads. Now, some departments are moving to get everybody done. I'm looking at Aaron and Justin, they're well ahead. But, you know, it shouldn't take more than about 5 minutes. But before we go, I'd like to maybe get one date on the calendar, either, maybe we do it in January, February, but just plan on, you know, now that the budget's done, maybe it won't be such a busy time to do this training. It's probably an hour and a half for that first module, so.
Does anybody need help doing this? If you take it home, can you?
It's your assignment.
Yeah, so
Don't know nothing about computers.
is somebody,
We can,
Henry or
anybody
John-
that wants to stay, Josh and I will work through it with you before you leave.
Did he just interrupt me? Yeah, okay. I
Just
didn't
a
think
little.
so. All right. Okay, so Dave and Steve and I will wait afterwards and we'll go through this, yeah, with these guys.
Okay.
Anybody else too? All right, anything else you want? Oh, you want a date?
Give me a date. Do you want to try to do it yet this year? You want to do sometime in January?
Plan on doing it at a council
It would-
meeting date, Henry?
During a council meeting or after a
Well,
council
I
meeting?
think, well, it's up to you. You want to, you know, we've had occasionally some short meetings that,
January 10th.
that's an off meeting.
We got school board that night.
I can get my new calendar.
January,
Or we purposely make that, this January 3rd council meeting really short.
January 11th
So direct
is,
staff not to bring anything forward, staff.
January 11th is city planning, so if we do it at, after city planning, 6:30,
Is that a Wednesday?
that's a Wednesday,
Okay, but then the other night it's pretty conflicting.
yeah. The 11th? 11th at 6:30, half of us are here already, so, or part of us.
Some of us. That is a church night though, so, you know, for those who want to attend services.
Mayor, if council directs staff not to put too much on that January 3rd agenda, which I don't think we should, I don't know. You know,
We'll send something out to you and we'll try and figure out a date.
Yeah. I'm shooting for January 3rd. You foresee, well, I'll talk to staff. We'll come up with something. Okay.
I did this in closed session, and I probably should have done it when the crowd was still here, so I'm sorry for this, but I really think it's important that we understand how hard our staff had worked to put this WEDC project together. And obviously, people in the community don't quite understand that, and I think it's important, again, to compliment, first of all, and to say that this was something that was done by Brennan. He's the one that actually, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, you all heard this before in closed session, but I'm saying it for the public. But I think it's important that everybody knows that we thought it was we think it's a good project. We think it's a very good project. And we just wanted to get some advice from some outside sources on how we could protect the city's interests the best way. But without Brennan and without Kathy and without Henry, this project would not have been where it is right now. So the city is behind them 100%. So make sure you go out there and you tell people that, because we're the ones that got it to where it's at right now. So let's make sure that they know that. And again, Kathy, I want to thank you, and I thanked you earlier, but I want to thank you for the budget process this year. If it gets this much better next year as it did from the previous year, it's going to be just incredible. And I thought it was awesome this year. So thank you very much for that. Anybody else got any thank yous you want to give to me?
I second that with Kathy. I did talk to her previous to this meeting, and the amount of work and the simplicity that allows us to understand it is great. I thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're, as long as I'm throwing out compliments here at the library, you should go see that exhibit. It's awesome. But you need about an hour at least if you're going to go through the whole thing. But it is cool. All right. Anybody else? Anything else? Need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
What'd you want?
Yeah, we're getting pretty lonely on this side.
Justin, I want to thank you for telling Roger to put the double yellow lines down. Aaron, I want to thank you for cleaning out thanking Josh for cleaning out the water lines in and the toilet lines and all that. Brian, I have nothing for you.
I'm used to that.
We're still on the air, you know.
No, well, actually, I do want to say one thing about, and he didn't mention this tonight, I don't think, but the drug court, did you mention that tonight? I missed that. Why don't you mention that? Because that's something that Brian's worked very hard on, and he does deserve a compliment for that, obviously.
I've been working with the Heroin Task Force Coalition, and preliminary through the county, they are setting up funding for that to begin next year. The exact dollar amount, I don't believe has been approved, but sometime next year. We are hoping that it starts in July. With the funds that are set up now, the way it looks, it was a little bit later in the fall, so they're still negotiating in regards to that. So we're really looking forward to working with getting a coordinator on board and getting this process started so we can get the individuals that have some addictions some help that they really need.
Great.
So,
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. I hope no, I'm just kidding, Justin and Aaron. But yeah. All right. Motion to adjourn, somebody.
And I seconded.
We'll say it again. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. I just got back from Nashville, people. I haven't even gone home yet, so.